8강까지 와서 사람들이 기억한다고 생각은 안 하고 더 높은 곳 올라가서 꾸준히 좋은 모습 보이면서 해야지 기억해 주실 것 같아요.
Speedily in there as well. He is deservedly unstoppable.
8강에 올라간 것만으로도 대단하다고 생각하고요. 근데 작년에 저희가 결승을 갔으니까 저희가 만족하려면 결승까지 가야 되지 않을까 싶습니다.
상대가 북미 팀인데 그냥 중국이 북미고요. 노이를 보여줄까요?
Worlds is definitely the best place to prove yourself as a player. I just want to show that I can step up against these world-class players and show them how to play the game.
The opinions about me are either really negative or really positive. Even though I've had a lot of world appearance, I just have to prove myself over and over every time.
Playing the quarterfinals, it's been a success from us, but I don't want just to stop there. If we beat SKT, we're gonna make our names and everyone will remember us.
SKT 그냥 이름 자체로만 해도 우승이라는 타이틀에 좀 많이 가깝잖아요.
我觉得从小组赛走到8强、4强，这些都只是一个过程。不管是什么体育运动，大家记得永远都是冠军。
Welcome to Guangzhou, China for Worlds 2017. You join us as we open the next chapter of the tournament live from our new home for the quarterfinals, the Guangzhou Gymnasium. 8 teams remain in the battle for the Summoners Cup, and only one best of 5 separates them from experiencing Shanghai on the stage or in the stands. And as you can see, we've moved cities and the fandom has followed. The Chinese crowd proving to be a very loud one here in Guangzhou. 2 teams battling it out today. Let's send it over to Reng Dan here in Guangzhou Gymnasium to introduce the teams as they take the stage.
大家好，我是任栋。接下来，让我们一起请出2017英雄联盟全球总决赛4分之一决赛的2支战队，欢迎战队登场。首先，让我们欢迎的是红方来自于 LCK 赛区的三星战队
Samsung Galaxy. Challenging perhaps the tournament favorites today, but let's not forget that they were finalists just last year.
打野 Ambition， 中路 Crown， 下路 Ruler， 辅助 CoJJ。同样欢迎他们的教练吴邦 Choi 以及替补打野 Haro。再次感谢三星战队的到来。接着，让我们欢迎的是蓝色方 LCK 1号种子龙珠战队。
And the tournament favorites, the only regional 1 seed to qualify through to the knockout stage with a 6-0 dominating group stage performance.
上路看，打野 Kurtz， 中路 BDD。 下路 Prey， 辅助 Gorilla， 同样欢迎他们的教练江苏 Kim 以及替补上单 Reska。 再一次感谢龙珠战队的到来。英雄智主传奇比赛现在开始。
Guangzhou and Samsung Galaxy, the first two teams to take to the stage here in Guangzhou for the quarterfinals. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, joined by my day one quarterfinal crew, Martin DeFischer Lunga, Alberto Crums Rengifo, and Isaac Azeo Cummings. Bentley, we've moved cities. I'm glad to see y'all made it. No one missed their flights, but how are we doing? We ready for some knockout action?
I'm pretty ready. Like, looking at this one, Longshu versus Samsung. A lot of people favor Longshu, but I mean, Samsung here, they will show up, I think at least. They will at least bring something to the table.
What we know is that on the day, anything can happen. It was proved during group stages. You do get a best of 5 here to prove it. We'll see what happens. It's not just us delivering you the next stage of Worlds, though. We're joined by our international broadcast partners who help to bring the action to regions all across the globe. And as we enter the next stage of Worlds, let's go ahead and get an update on the championship prize pool. The stakes have been raised thanks to you guys at home. Currently, the total prize stands above $4 million with more than $1.8 million drawn from Championship Ash and Ward sales. A reminder that 25% of those sales will continue to add to the prize pool, with another 25% being added to charity. Now you can add to the competition by raising money, or while rather raising money for a good cause by picking up your in-game swag today. As we move into the best of 5s, let's get a reminder of how the knockout stage draw played out. First up, we've got our best of 5 today, which pits Longshu versus Samsung Galaxy. Then Misfits hope to continue their Worlds run as they face the reigning champions, SK Telecom T1. Rounding out the top side of the bracket, RNG take to the stage opposite Fnatic, with Team WE squaring off against Cloud9 on the final day of quarters.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really good match. It's crazy to think, as you said, this is a finalist from last year. Everyone is saying that Longshu should smash it, but Samsung has shown that their preparation is excellent, and I'm very excited for the game today.
Without a doubt, 4 exciting best of 5s on our way as stakes continue to rise at the World Championship. Here are some of the players that we believe will be fundamental in finding success in Guangzhou. Here are our best of the rip, brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. For quarterfinals, it's Samsung Galaxy's top laner Kube, SKT's Huni, Fnatic's mid laner Caps, and Team WE's Mystic. First up, playing today, it's Samsung Galaxy's Kube.
And Kube has been one of the best top laners in the LCK, arguably the best top laner here in the tournament, playing a lot of carries. However, this tournament, he just has not had enough time to shine through. So if Samsung is going to put up that fight against Longshu today, it's going to come off the back of him and his team enabling him.
And I think because Khan plays all those carry top laners, Kube is someone with that high variance coming out of Khan on those carries who could take over a game and could be that star who changes the series.
He was a top performer for the team last year. They're going to need him to be this year if they want to move on in the tournament. Next, we have SKT's Huni, who's been silently pressuring the top lane for the reigning champs.
Yeah, and I've been very impressed with Huni so far because he gets a lot of time in the side lane to get a lot of resources, and he's using them very well. He's getting towers. He's also joining teamfights being extremely strong because, again, he is so farmed. And the fact that Huni is going back to the style we used to see from SKT back at MSI and also back in Spring Split, where he can be more of a carry, actually benefits him, gives him another weapon.
He's also shown the ability to pull off the split push styles when you think about against Cloud9, getting solo kills on impact, taking down turrets, taking down inhibitors. He has been able to flex his muscles in those side lanes as well as the team fights.
Now alongside Huni is Fnatic's Caps, who was crucial in allowing his team to pull off the miracle run out of groups.
One of the new European mid laners obviously came into Fnatic here this year and have actually been doing much better doing Worlds than I expected. I thought there would still be issues for him in terms of decision making or being over aggressive when he shouldn't be it. He's actually done really well, especially week 2. I love the synergy we're starting to see between him and the rest of the team, and he's so important for Fnatic.
Oh, he's so important to the point that every time that they have a win, his stats go through the roof, but every time a loss, Caps just doesn't seem to be there, so the team is quite bipolar in their performance, and it hinges on him.
Perhaps the linchpin for success for that squad. Joining Caps is another player who was able to make the run from play-ins to quarters. It's Team WE's Mystic.
And it's been all uphill since the play-in. Mystic has been getting better week in, week out. WE plays so heavily through the bot lane that their success is based on this player, and he has been crushing it in lane, best CSD in the tournament for a bot lane marksman, and he's so good in the mid and late game team fights as well.
Good enough to make the final?
Good enough to make semifinal.
I guess it's something. It's something.
All right, there's the call. I don't have to ask you for your prediction then when that series comes around. We'll see if these players can book a trip to Shanghai this weekend. From the first CS to the Flame Horizon, you can follow the best of the Rift in more places than ever before. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Now, as we look towards our matches this weekend, it's important to point out that we saw a significant addition to the world's meta towards the end of Week 2 groups in Caitlyn.
Exactly. Caitlyn came in because a lot of dual lanes were playing, like Relic Shield AD carries. Twitch was in there as well, then Janna Lulu. So you had these super bad early game dual lanes that you could really punish with a strong laner. So Caitlyn made it back into the meta because she can push, she can take towers, and these supports like Janna and Lulu can't really engage on her and punish her.
And she's been so effective as kind of that bot lane counter pick, 4-0 in the tournament so far, always picked as an answer, not blind so far. And when people are going full late game, you can swing the game completely around, push for these siege comps, and just crush through your opponents, get enormous gold leads before they're ever ready to fight.
Well, we did hear that Caitlyn seemed to be so oppressive that people were either banning it or just having to first pick it, but I do think that we're going to see some variation where teams figure out, just as Caitlyn was an answer to the late game meta, what is now the answer to the Caitlyn? We have Ashe, we have Varus, which today is going to happen as Prey and Ruler love those two picks.
Or we might see some teams say, okay, we need a really strong mid laner that can push and roam down to the bottom lane, because Caitlyn will, of course, overextend when she's trying to hit that tower. But you got to find an answer, because right now, she's on average 1,500 gold ahead of the other AD carry at 15 minutes. That's crazy.
So let's remember that last year, it was the MF support pick that came out in response to Zyra during the knockout stages of Worlds. The question is, what would be the response here to a Caitlyn pick?
Well, the Ashe right now seems to be the one that is the #1 pick into it. She's got a great laning phase, and you typically force a cleanse out of your bottom lane because you don't want to get engaged on, so you do hinder that 2v2 potential, and you also slow down her pushing, as she has to be more aware of Ashe.
I definitely want to see Varus also as one of the picks being used against it, and as I said as well, you need some sort of aggression from your mid and jungle, so that when this Caitlyn is just perma pushing, you can actually go down and gank her and kill her, and then if you kill her once or twice in lane, all her value is kind of gone because she's not killing that tower, and her mid game is extremely weak.
Also very excited to see if the Caitlyn is going as one of those early picks, what else is going to change? You know, if people are bringing in Ashe, that's less damage from the rest of your comp. You know, you don't have that hyper carry in the late game, so maybe you need more damage junglers, more damage tops, and the complete meta can shift.
With this in mind, let's focus in on today's matchup. We've got Samsung Galaxy versus Longzhu, and we have to remember, rather, that both of these teams played before that Caitlyn pick even made its showing.
And they've played even further than that. All summer long in the LCK, they have battled it out, and they have split series. But if you kept track of how these games have gone by, it has been all an upswing for Longzhu, and BDD here, or rather Prey, has been one of the pillars for this team, as he allows the backbone of the team to be so strong that Khan and Cuz can just take over with BDD.
And even in the final season, final split of the LCK, you know, they did 2-0 Samsung. They looked extremely dominant there, and you know, Samsung had struggles in groups. Longzhu did not. They've been looking so good.
All right, well, we talk about the differences in styles between these two teams, right? Samsung Galaxy, Longzhu. Let's hash that out a bit.
Well, we have Samsung, who is a very defensive team. They want to not do too many things in the early game, not take big risk, and then go to late game and try and win through big late game team fights, or you may be messing up at Baron and they punish you. Longzhu, on the other hand, it's much more focused on the early game, try and be more aggressive, get the advantages, especially also through the top lane, and that's why Cuvee is one of the guys we're looking at now on the screen, because he's one of the answers to Longzhu's way of playing in the early game.
And every time Cuvee and Khan have faced off, it actually has been the one time that Khan can't really just match this lane. He has been able to keep up. At times, he's been able to actually do the reverse to Khan and just win games off him. So this matchup is so crucial for both these teams to allow them to have a strong pick, a strong 2v2 in the jungle, and then snowball the game early on. That's where I think it's going to be dictated.
I mean, that said, within this tournament, Khan seems to be the one guy that has an answer to everything, right? We saw the Nash's pick come out in the face of a Maokai, so has an answer to the tanks, is willing to play the carries. It's a tough task, right, to go up against a guy of this caliber.
I mean, that's a problem when you play against Longzhu, and they're like superstar players in every single lane at the moment. But still, Khan, he is a guy who will overextend. And I think if you have like a very active jungler in this game here from Samsung, if you have Cuvee on a good champion who can actually punish Khan, you can definitely try and shut him down when he is split pushing and get that top lane advantage.
All right, well, with those factors in mind, who do you think is going to be the first team to book a trip to Shanghai? Down the line, Officio, starting with you.
I'm going Longzhu. I was originally on 3-0 for Longzhu, but I went back, I looked even more at Samsung, and I'm like, you know what, it's a 3-1.
Okay.
Well, I think stylistically, Longzhu actually counters a lot of what Samsung wants to do, because you got to shut down Longzhu early. Samsung can't really do it. I do think they have at least one game where they get a counter pick top maybe and get QV rolling. Maybe they get a Caitlyn bot lane and they can win bot side. Or they just have the better late game team fight and they actually stall it past 40 minutes. But again, it's one game only.
Looking at preparation from Samsung Galaxy to
There are
buy
few
them
win
a win
conditions.
somewhere. All right, Crumbs, what are you thinking?
I'm actually with the Fishy on this as well. I was initially 3-0, but then 3-1 because not just preparation. We've only really seen one best of 5 series from Longzhu, and when they typically faltered, especially against Samsung, it has been in that draft when they kind of overstep their boundaries and Samsung punishes it. So I think that they're going to be able to do that again. It's best of 5. It's going to happen one time at least.
A sliver of hope given to the Samsung Galaxy roster from these guys. Azael, what do you think?
I'm breaking the trend from the rest of these sheeple. I think it's still going to be a 3-0, and it's because of what Martin actually talked about. Yes, you can get, I think, a counter pick or a good matchup for Cuvée in the top lane, but it's dependent on the 2v2. Ambition has 0 kills and 0 assists in 75 minutes of gameplay pre-15 this tournament. That is abysmal, and when you talk about that jungle at 2v2, he's not doing anything in the early game. I feel like he needs to get involved in the early game for them to have any chance. So unless Ambition can show some serious change here, I think Longzhu gets ahead early and they run away with it.
All right, well, that's what our analysts had to say. And if we look at how the pick'ems played out, Longzhu were chosen to come out ahead in 83% of all of the pick'ems. So it seems to be mirrored in
all
the community
agree.
sentiment. All right. Well,
Great job, everyone.
So proud of you guys. With the riff set, let's send it over to Freak, Papa Smithy, and Kobe to bring us into our first quarterfinal match.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Caster Desk. My name is David Freak Turley, joined here with 2 amazing people. Over on the far side, Chris Papa Smithy Smith, and to my right most closely, Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler. How you guys doing?
Extremely excited. I finally get to be an LCK caster with Papa Smithy here.
We get to cast good teams.
I'm loving it. I'm not sure about the predictions, though. Very one-eyed predictions. Longzhu 3-1, Longzhu 3-0. Kind of the story when you talk to basically anyone around Worlds has been Longzhu's dominance. And I'm in that weird spot where I'm like, okay, Longzhu probably the best early game team at the group. They also been the team that has come back from the biggest deficit. So 1 + 1 = 2 Longzhu victory. I can understand. But Samsung Galaxy's ability to craft new compositions, to innovate, to rise to big games. The KT 3-0 that got them here to Worlds, beating SKT 2-0 after Rift Rivals, after both SKT and Samsung were called into question for their losses at that tournament. They can get themselves up for big games, and this is the definition of a big game.
Exactly. Best of 5s are a completely different story, and that innovation that you're talking about is exactly what we want to see from this Samsung squad, because as a lot of the predictions are pointing towards, this is definitely a Longzhu favored series.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a very big opponent to try and take down this early.
And it's also the one series where, remember, it is Korea versus Korea. These teams have faced in the LCK, as the analyst desk talked about. It's not just going to be Worlds meta. There is going to be the fact that Cuvée, of all top laners in Korea, actually was the one to step up to the plate and make life hard for Khan in the top side. Smeb couldn't do it. Other great top laners like Huni couldn't do it. Cuvée was the best performing top laner against him. So there is still even individual matchups that could swing in the favor of Samsung.
Absolutely. I mean, Cuvée is absolutely an exceptional player. He's the most long-standing member of this iteration of Samsung Galaxy. He's been there since the 2015.
They were dark times, Freak, dark times.
Well, I understand they were dark times, but he's stuck around and he's become such an incredible talent. He's been a widely respected top laner, both within Korea and internationally. Samsung Galaxy were world finalists and 1 game away from winning the entire thing last time. Same starting 5 as that finalist against SKT. See if they can do it here.
Longzhu coming in the 1 seed, had choice of selection for game 1. Very interestingly, you note they are not on red side. Longzhu famously, you think, really worried about that last pick on the red side as a Khan counter pick. They've actually chosen blue. So are they trying to prioritize something? It is interesting to note that of all teams, Longzhu have chosen blue when they have the option.
And interesting as well, coming out very early on with the Galio ban here, that is something that BDD has used extremely effectively. And he has only, besides that, played the Taliyah, played the Ryze here at the World Championship so far. These roaming champions and really affecting the rest of the map very early on. The mid lane matchup is definitely one that should be highlighted here.
Definitely loves to cut top side with a global, with a semi-global, and help those advantageous pushing matchups for Khan. But there will be last pick for the side of Samsung, and one of those big picks for Khan, of course, the Jace, is actually a first-round ban. They don't want to deal with it at all.
Yeah, it's fun looking at the difference in play styles, of course, of all these players. You talk about a couple of one marksman being down 2 of the supports as well. Xayah grabbed up right away. Of course, you can never give away Xayah Rakan as a duo.
Yeah, Xayah Rakan definitely want to break that one up. Talking to the teams for a very long time, for months and months, Xayah and Rakan has been the power couple that you cannot really give over here. Interesting that we do have some bottom lane focus super early on, because as they highlighted earlier with the AR display, Prey and Gorilla are such a huge part of how Longzhu win, but they're not the big carries of the team that demand a lot of resources like people usually think of when you think of star players. Send all the early ganks there, get them fed and carry. Part of their biggest strength is that they demand almost no early game resources.
That definitely means they shoot up the tier list, as you say, because the jungler never goes there, and yet they win or at worst go even. Speaking of junglers, this is the CC duo. We actually Rakan and Sejuani very highly prioritized on the side of Samsung. Note that it was actually taken over the Jarvan that we well know is a flex pick for the side of Longzhu.
There are so many synergies with this combination here. Rakan does get to stack those Sejuani passive stacks up as well, and the two initiators really work well off of each other. This is very promising, honestly.
Hey!
No! Longzhu gonna buck the trend. Only Misfits so far, since the group stage, have opted out of an Ardent sense of support. Longzhu saying, you know what, Misfits, Europe, we like what you've done here. Aggro supports it is.
Yeah, banning away the Janna, of course, expecting a Lulu answer and taking the Thresh, one of the famous picks for Gorilla. Played this in the grand final of the LCK, won MVP, was a carry performance on the Thresh, and this is already a different draft than we would have imagined.
This is very exciting and very heartening. You know, Gorilla always is talking about how he loves being on the front lines. He's a playmaker. Him and Prey are the senior members of this squad, and if they get to have their hands on the crowd control, on the initiation tools, then it removes that split second where you have to have that extra layer of communication about going for engage.
Yeah, a disengaged support meta was one of the few things when you're evaluating Longzhu pre-tournament, you're like, wait, Gorilla can't do the initiating. The rookie Cuz has to come in and be an initiator. Maybe that'll hurt them. Certainly didn't in the group stage. They got to 6-0, but it could have been a hiccup in a high-pressure best-of-5. Small note, this is actually only Cuz's second career best-of-5. Khan also to BDD 3. Certainly not best-of-5 experience to speak about for most of Longzhu.
All right, let's catch up a little bit on the bans coming through here as Longzhu are targeting the top lane. And remember, when Jarvan is picked early for Longzhu, that has usually been a Khan champion, when Khan is in the game. I mean, we're always used to
It's like 15-1 Khan versus Cuz playing the champion.
Exactly. That's why more of these jungle bans, the Gragas ban here from Samsung did come in, because they're very much assuming that it's going to be a top lane Jarvan.
So you'll see a Malzahar, not the first time Crown has played it. It's a blocker pick to Ryze, which has been BDD's go-to mid laner. He has traditionally been playing a lot of Ryze once that's semi-global. If he does go with the Syndra, they already have Rakan, who's one of the best at those immobile threats and shutting them down. There's Sejuani as well. We'll go for Syndra for the laning matchup, but denied roam potential from mid, which is almost always a core tenet of a Longzhu victory.
At the very least, we're definitely going to get a new champion for BDD here at World Championship. Syndra is locked in.
Blind Jax in the top lane for Khan. We were promised he'd play the champion. He'd played it about 5 times in Korea this split. Finally brings it out to Worlds.
And he blind picked it in this same setup on Blue's side against Samsung in that deciding last game of the season. Laning focus here for sure. So we went away from the Chogats, the Maokais. We're going straight for the skill matchups, and Jax blind. Oh boy.
What even is the metagame anymore? This is exciting. Kennen Jax top lane, no Ardent Sense for the blue side. I love Korea.
Things get so interesting so quickly here with these last 2 picks, because Kennen with this range matchup against Jax are going to want to try and abuse that earlier. So immediately our eyes are turning towards that the top triangle of the map, and you would think that both bottom lanes will be operating without jungle pressure, which, as we said before, is where Prey and Gorilla have shined through. Now it's going to be a lot about, will Ambition actually be able to step up in that early game? As they talked about on the analyst side, he hasn't created much early on, but a Kennen pick into a Jax, you need to.
And it's not only about Cuz when you're trying to evaluate the helpers on the side of Longzhu, because we've had a meta where it was disengaged and Khan was kind of caught on Jarvan, Judy, on more traditional picks outside of the Nasus. You bring in Thresh and suddenly the roam potential is there from Gorilla. You can open up some more of the carry picks. He's going back to that carry pool. This is the Khan we saw in Korea. Let's see if it can be vintage Khan in game 1 of this series.
Well, we saw Khan in Korea. We actually saw him drop to a Kuve Kennen game a while ago, back the first time they lost the team. So we'll see what it comes down to on this one. It's going to be all kinds of fun watching both these squads go at the best of 5. I want to see if it's ability power or attack damage. Kennen, AP buff, AP build got buffed partway through the summer split. We've seen a fair bit of that in Korea, but not a lot other places. So definitely excited to see what flavor we get from both these teams here in game 1 of this best of 5. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Quarterfinal 1 of the 2017 League of Legends World Championship starting right now. Best of 5, winner makes top 4, and it is the South Korean champions of Longzhu Gaming taking on the former Worlds runner-ups, Samsung Galaxy.
And my favorite sub-story of this Worlds is how fast the patch adaptations have happened. We've been on 719 the entire time, but the meta has evolved every week. The analyst desk was talking about the Caitlyn quick push, the lane priority we saw on the last 2 days of the group stage was actually after these two teams played. They, in secret, have been able to evaluate that meta and also innovate. The carries are back, the Thresh is back. It seems if Lulu, Janna are off the board, people are starting to roll the dice with some more creative stuff.
With us in spirit, at least, the TSM chants out of the Chinese crowd. Love how they've been so far at Worlds. One thing I also find very interesting is you talk about teams reacting to the metagame and preparing for it. I wonder how much of this was pre-planned in the first place, saying we're going to save our strategies until tougher opponents. And they knew all along what the real champions should be. They said, all these Janna picks, that's cute. Bandit, of course, they did here. But either way,
Yeah,
strategy.
I was going to say, not really fair if Jen and Lulu are both banned.
Of course.
Oh, they didn't pick Jen and Lulu.
But Tarek and Ivern and Nidalee and these other Ardent Senses, of course, have been seeing a lot of play. So certainly, I agree, both these teams seem to give them a lot of respect. But off those top 2, the world seems to open up.
All right, bottom lane start here for both junglers, and they both get those bottom lane pulls. So they very well could end up early presence on the top side, the action where we're looking for. The thing about this Kennen pick is, you know, yes, you can go for auto attack, harassment, then drop into a brush to try and drop your minion aggro and try and zone off early. But if Jax does get those ganks early on from a Jarvan, he's well equipped to interrupt Kennen quite frequently. And if you get that early kill, snowballing definitely becomes very, very difficult to deal with later on.
It was actually Jax versus Nara in that final matchup. It's kind of a similar matchup, really, if you think about it. Early ganks, level 3. It's actually level 2 coming through from Cuz here.
As you can see, totally suspected here from Samsung with the early ward. They see Cuz make his visit over, and Ambition should know that he's coming through to the jungle to look for him as well. That's why he's pulling the Raptors back into a very safe territory over here. And even with the machete start, he is going for the small Raptors.
A lot of punishment coming through from Cuz as well. Gets him down to 200 HP. Ambition's got to be a bit careful, but no cooldowns available means he can't chase any farther. No kill to be had. Takes away about half the Raptor camp.
And this is Longzhu. What I noticed the most looking over their VODs is they play around priority the best of any team at this tournament. You know that if they have a pushing mid lane and a pushing top lane at whatever time in the game, right now at 3 minutes, you know Cuz will invade, get down deep vision, challenge Ambition. Actually, a small surprise I had was one thing I wanted to see Samsung adjust around their level 1s is that every time they play with Ambition, it's been a 5-point defense. They've never invaded for early wards. When you have a potentially high gank top laners, a lot of harass goes over to Crown. I thought they'd look for information about the Jarvan, but they only got it late after he started invading Samsung's jungle.
Right now, Crown can feel a bit safe. Right now, BDD is out of mana, so that threat is much lower. With 200 health, he should be completely fine. His reflexes should be enough to flash right for any Jarvan gank, so Crown will be allowed to lane, but he is down far. Oh, I take it back! One more auto would have killed him, but he didn't have the wind-up available. BDD gonna force Crown out of lane. He has TP to get back, but that is a nice early lead with a giant farm lead, 25-12.
And there was a laundry list of things for Samsung to realistically be able to stake a claim against Longzhu, and Crown stepping up, returning to his spring levels was something we were looking for, and already getting heavily pressured in lane.
And if you talk about returning to previous tendencies, yes, everybody's been all about praising BDD for roaming around the map, creating other plays, and he's really embraced that Taliyah and Galio meta. But this guy, so much of the excitement around him early on was about bullying his lane and crushing people in the 1v1. Now that he has Syndra, it's on display.
Kobe, that was my struggle when it came to the top 20 players, when it came to Longzhu being right there in the top 6. How do you order them? Because this guy, the Zed God from these famous highlight plays before he turned 17, lane priority on CJ into roaming on Longzhu. You couldn't give him the benefit of the doubt because he hadn't shown that style working. He played some Zed, but they'd lost those games. So seeing him now focus on lane is a new BDD, and if he does that just as well, oh boy, it's going to be fun.
Continue dominance in the mid lane. Ambition coming around the backside. The 200 health left on Crown. A bit of slows on a BDD. He's going to back out safely enough. Lane stays alive, but it's getting harder and harder for the Samsung Galaxy mid laner.
Remember, something that will become important as well, trying to clear out those Voidlings. They're very easy now after a couple of the nerfs to Malzahar were aimed at trying to take that power away from the support position. So just a couple of extra damage there will save you in many situations.
But remember, Crown teleported back to lane with an early back and then got DPS'd out by just Syndra and had to Ambition come and help him push. He doesn't want to have to back a second time, but it's a second back in the first 5 minutes for the Malzahar.
Here we go. Cuz has perfect timer on the Raptor camp since he was able to finish that one off Ambition's first time around. And the second clear of a Raptor camp, very important in trying to keep down a jungler. Ambition happened to just soak up that mid lane farm that you were talking about, Crown missing. However, Crown definitely going to be behind experience now, and that is a bad thing versus a Syndra who's looking to bully.
Spotted by the ward on the way in. You can look at back at the top lane right here where Khan took an early recall for some extra potions. Boots in his Doran shield and all that. Now to the top side looking for a bit more. His stun's not available for a few more seconds though. Kube still trying to run away. Should not be anything more to chase with. Lands his stun, gets some damage back, and Cuz at half health could mean a counter if he stays around. You've got the Sejuani coming around. They did see Ambition earlier on a ward.
This is all very expected pathing for Cuz early on. If you look at not only the team tendencies, but also the champion select. Remember, early on, we're talking about the top lane triangle here, which does include mid lane. It's these bullying lanes for Longzhu. So Cuz has basically just been between mid and top, keeping up those pressure for these guys to try and nullify the area of control here for Samsung.
And pressure's kind of been a dirty word for Ambition. Even when his team has had priority, he hasn't been doing little moments like you saw where he'll go and push in, try to get some vision, put down deep wards. He's actually just been focusing on farming, playing very defensively, even when his laners are doing good. Certainly not going to say that with the mid lane.
Flashes in, got him! He knew the damage. BDD gets a solo kill the third time around, pushing Crown out of lane.
There's no teleport for him to get back. Afterwards, he gets the kill with almost a double stacked minion wave here. BDD absolutely in control of this game. This opens up Cuz to go steal away the blue buff, and Samsung are bleeding very early on.
Hype levels can only increase around BDD. One split at the top level, but already being able to solo down Crown, who's really had no answer. 2 camps easily. Sejuani, she has to be second to rotate. She has to take her time. No mid laner to help her out, and her bot lane under turret for almost the entirety of the laning phase.
And we talked so much about Samsung trying to struggle through the early game here and how that would be important in their winning in this series. But there's an Infernal Drake as well, and that is now going to be in Longzhu control because of this play right here.
Knowing your damage output is so important. You can see about 500 health. Flashes for the Q already was in range, buffered the ultimate. Super clean, and Crown's face tells a story.
Yep, going to be able to pick up that spear that was previously down from the harassment for the extra damage there. And Crown shoves a wave, tries to immediately back here. Needs as many combat effective items as he could possibly scrounge together there, so he goes for the null magic mantle just to try and survive further.
I mean, there's not greed on either side. It was a Merc Treads rush after using his flash for BDD. He has the cleanse. You could understand going for something in the mana regen side, going for the Lost Chapter, going for the mana sustain, but he's just going to go for the safety because he knows AP Cannon, which is what we expect now. We already see the Hextech finish, the Sejuani and the Malzahar. Burst is a real possibility onto the Syndra.
Down the mid lane, the flashless Crown has no way out of the punishment here. Cataclysm finally drops down, but a few more shots will do it. Not going to stay in range, though. Can't quite get the kill on the Crown. Look for the next play onto the bot lane. Not going to come through here either.
Yeah, I believe there's a few more seconds. Yeah, BDD's ultimate just comes up now. So, yes, the positioning was good for that gank, but he didn't quite have a timer on his ultimate to finish him off. Still, he's in a weakened state right now, though.
Right, Crown's at 600 health, and ulti could almost kill him. Of course, across the wall, they're going to go for this one. He's going to wait for the stun to land. Ulti pops across. Not enough to kill. Cleanse Blade. The second stun comes in, and that's going to be BDD. Falling Ambition was waiting for the play, and the first time of Worlds 2017, Ambition does anything pre-15, he gets an assist for Crown.
And if you're going to compliment the young prodigy mid laner on the good moments, also have to call out the double turret shot. Unnecessary. First thought was to go back aggressive, get the trade kill. Wasn't able to get that, and cleaned up by Ambition.
Yeah, definitely BDD overextending there, and it was a bit too good to be true for him. You have to respect at least the comeback potential there of all the crowd control. You mentioned, yes, all the magic damage on Samsung, and that's one reason for the Merc Treads early. Again, all the CC here does give options for Samsung trying to create plays like that.
Thing is, there was partial respect. They warded the Raptor camp itself, but it was Ambition across the other side of the trees, the other spot he could have easily hit in. Of course, they did guess wrong. Okay, shame on BDD, not counting all the options, but he had covered one of his 2 bases. There's that ward, and he's like, maybe I'm safe here.
All that being said, you do have to respect, like, this is suppression from Malzahar, and he knows this crowd control is coming, and he wants to save his cleanse for the cleanseable, stuns from Ambition. and he wanted to go in for those turret shots because he, this time around, thought he would be able to calculate with one extra spear to get the kill again. Not going to be the case. Then he also uses his E backwards there, doesn't hit Ambition, and looks a little bit funny.
And it's not really an escape rope from the laning phase either. You still notice that it's about 37, around 40 CS down for Crown. It was kill credit also over to Ambition, so it's not bailed out yet. He's going to need a couple more of those to rescue him from what has been a painful laning phase on the side of Samsung in the mid lane.
You talk about painful landing phases, and you'd feel like Jackson to Kennen would be rough, but Khan holding on pretty nicely, only down 9. But Ambition now wants to make it a bit more difficult. Looking for the top lane play. Kube pulls Aggro first, only comes across, trying to dodge the auto attack. But will it be enough for Samsung Galaxy? Could be holding Aggro, letting Ambition go for the duel, but he can't do enough damage. Gonna try again, but he pulls Aggro, and Khan could pick him up. One more attack will slay him. The passive gonna try to time out. Oh, but Ambition charges him back for it, and a 2-0 start for the Samsung jungler.
And the trade on the bottom lane for Longzhu here is going to be rushing down for the first turret gold bonus. Samsung, though, they did clean up the top lane kill, even though it was messy.
No flash available for Khan. Would have flashed for an auto, probably got the kill, but no cooldown on the Q either. Nice map movements means they do pick up the first turret blood, but there's going to be an answering turret for Samsung.
That lane priority going to keep that 350 extra gold from first turret on the Longzhu side, but this game you can see now only 600 apart. And who would have guessed Samsung Galaxy to actually have the strong enough early game that they're actually up, or at least close, up in kills at the very least against Longzhu.
And it's always weird because I see this team obviously the most of anyone here, and I notice them, and there are still one-off games for Samsung. It's not really rhyme and rhythm to it. 1 out of every 10 games. Ambition is super active in the early game. It's usually the Rek'Sai, but here he comes in. He knows Khan's flash is down. They trust on the damage. It almost lets him down.
Well, watch how Khan plays this too, because the beginning is so good. He dodges the first Winter's Wrath here. The second part does so much more damage. Well, let's jump into live, though.
There's no turret. What are they going to find on this one? Corte J going to wait to try to find someone to jump to. Does get over the wall. No stun going to land just yet. A pretty mechanically strong escape, but 2 flashes down for the Samsung Galaxy duo. BDD used his.
BDD flashing in there, unnecessary, but you can see he's feeling the momentum. He wants to capitalize and course correct after his death earlier. They will return, and in all of this, there was an extra kill to Samsung on the top side. On the bot side, the Infernal Drake was taken for the side of Longzhu. Still is an objective, and they contest the blue as well.
All right, we need to reset a little bit here and revisit some of the things that Samsung can utilize to pry this game open, because again, so much of it was Samsung getting through the early game to the late game where they can try and construct these team fights. And again, in Champ Select, they brought so many of these crowd control tools that it's very much a look for the 5-on-5, land the Malzahar, Sejuani, and Kennen combination here with Core JJ at the front to be able to try and take down Longzhu in one fell swoop.
And Kobe, you can see here, I actually have a list of things I thought Samsung needed to really adjust, to change from the group stages if they didn't want to be overcome by Longzhu. And 2 of them in this game they have done. They have actually had control ward supremacy on the top side of the river multiple times to stop any of those roams from BDD. It's not Taliyah, it's a bit different, but keeping Syndra in lane is still going to be a priority for them. The other one there that I really want to see from them is also adjusting Ambition's playstyle. He's been a lot more active. He hasn't been this passenger in the early game. So seeing them adjust real core tendencies of the 5 games they've played with Ambition has been important, and it's not the same Samsung performance we saw in groups.
And we'll see if this performance can continue for Samsung Galaxy, holding close to Longzhu and a team that wants to get into the late game. And you look at their team fight powers, and it all feels a bit Samsung favored. AP Kennen feels like he's going to do better in a 5-on-5 than a Jax. Malzahar with the suppression, I think likely to be in a similar boat here. So Longzhu hoping they can get some leads through Khan and make that split push work. So far, it's not been the case. That Jax has lost his turret as of about 3 minutes ago. At some point, he might come online, but so far not the case.
And because there is so much AoE magic damage here on the Samsung side, that's why we're seeing all these Merc Treads come through. They want the magic resist, they want the tenacity to try and be able to function in those scenarios. As you mentioned, Jax, especially early on, does not want any part of the 5-on-5. I mean, there's so much splash damage flying around that even the Kennen ultimate really negates a lot of the effectiveness there. So that's why Longzhu are trying to keep Khan off on his own, and the other 4-man squad are trying to create these plays. We keep seeing bottom, they took the turret and dragon control, and they're trying to get more advantages in this area. It's actually very good for Longzhu that the next Drake is also an Infernal Drake, because they do want to retain control of this area and try and snowball there.
And a small point about the itemization changes we see is Ambition considering initiating. That was Bit of a missed one there.
It was ambitious.
That was a bit on the nose.
I know.
But what you do notice, remember, Sightstone completed early for Longzhu. Sightstone time has been way delayed in this meta when people are rushing for the Ardent Sensor. So vision advantage around bot side always going to be there when you have access to more wards and Thresh can look for the plays. Late game, of course, as we know, the Ardent Sensor will come online now that it's finished. So there is different kind of break points. The tug of war, the momentum goes up and down when split pushes, but also a vision advantage are in the game.
And you talk about the tug of war and the Ardent Sensor. Mathematically, Ardent Sensor is most valuable when it's first purchased. Champions don't have a lot of other stats. That 25 on hit damage means a lot more. This is like the largest power spike the Core GJ will probably have all game, in the sense that now Ruler can do a whole bunch of damage and heals more than he ever would some other time. As time goes on, the actual value of this item will actually fall a bit and Frey can keep up.
And it also means that Samsung can change trading patterns in the 2v2 because they get that massive sustained increase with the on-hit lifesteal. You can walk up, take what looks like an even or maybe even a trade that's going the way of Longzhu, instantly lifesteal up to full, and then you control the wave with a health advantage.
Yeah, it's very easy to sing the praises of Ardent Sensor, boys, but let's talk about the Thresh pick and the good things that you can get with this pick. Because
how much lifesteal does it give you?
It's not all about...
shield.
It's not all about the initiation of Thresh. You know, we talk about Longzhu trying to keep the map a bit spread out here and trying to keep Jax, pressure point on that side lane. One of the biggest things and understated for Thresh is the Dark Passage and saving people, as we saw on display in the river, from the hard CC of Samsung. It's going to be so critical. A lot of times in the past, when we've had teams play 1-3-1, and Thresh was a huge part of it, the Thresh would trail through one of the lanes so that you would have an escape for your pressure point and a valve to kind of let that off. Currently, though, in the Fog of War,
Hooked onto the tank, though not easy to kill Ambition. Knock him out of the back line, and Malzahar, he's going to flash away, so Crown's out of the fight. Now the Cataclysm with the front line, look for Ambition. Getting lower and lower, 400 health, still taking attack. One more shot will do him, and Prey gets him that kill. Now Ruler on the backside can't get the kill because he's going to stay alive through the satchel. And now looking for one more chase in. The Glasgow going to get him a bit to safety. Samsung Galaxy going to disengage. And Kube in the 1v3 finds the kill on the Prey. Does he have 4 teammates around the hook to buy some time? One more shot will do him in. Khan gets it. Gorilla knocked back to safety. Now Core JJ also cutting back against the shield, but Khan is on the chase. As soon as he gets the leap strike up, he gets himself the double kill. Now the push on for Ruler, flashing the stun, gets himself another 2-2 into this one. Over the wall goes Khan, staying alive. Longzhu, I make that actually 3 kills to do. Now Khan on the backside with Ruler around him, but Crown ulti down, going to keep him alive, and that was quite the fight.
A really extended fight there. It was initiated by Longzhu. You were talking there, Kobe, about what the Thresh brings. It's also, hey, they've got a vision advantage with the Sightstone. They clear out some wards. Where's the Thresh at? Usually that's going to be pressure on Crown, but even in the grouping phase, they got the fight they wanted. They got the advantage, even though you'd think AP Cannon this early would rip through the team of Longzhu.
Exactly. This game is so much about item power spikes. Rather than looking at the gold on the scoreboard there, sometimes people are misled by who is currently ahead, but it's so much about what you've actually completed in your inventory. And that was one of the big points right there. We did see so much damage coming from this cannon. He is peaking on magic penetration right now. His ultimate does have very high effectiveness. Once you get post-level 11 and you have your Leandries plus your Sork shoes, like there's just so much burst coming through.
Colonel definitely going to be point of power. It's down about half.
Smite's available for both junglers. Smite play comes in. Blue team picks it up on, grabs it off Ambition. Smite actually comes in a little earlier on that one. Now they re-engage the Giants. Then comes across and Prey losing his life yet again. Out he goes, 4v5 in the chase for Samsung Galaxy. Will not find their next engage.
Ultimate was up for Crown. No way to interrupt him. Everyone on Longzhu backing away. So kill for an Infernal, just fine from the perspective of Longzhu. Second of the game already.
As long as they don't lose more, of course, mid lane going to be clear, but looking like maybe a Rift Herald attempt for Samsung Galaxy. No, it looks more like a reset.
Yeah, the fact that you still have wave clear available and very safe wave clear. Syndra and Thresh both very well equipped to defend mid lane after. So it's just the one kill that is traded for this extra scaling bonus here. Another look at that little pocket of Fog of War, though, Papa Smithy, are talking about. Immediately, they try and get the shield off of the Malzahar, so he's a bit exposed. But Ambition is the target with all the damage. They take him down early, and Cube, once he arrives, it's a second story.
Yeah, the flank teleport was very deep. There wasn't a more apt ward to teleport onto. So he comes in, is able to pick up a kill, trades up his life. If the teleport ward was a bit more generous, a bit closer to the members of Longzhu, could have been an even 3-for-3, but ended up being a 3-for-2.
Saw Gorilla right there sneaking away with his life, just barely. The nice play to buy a little bit of time, and his earlier Lantern had pulled Cuz to safety, and we saw Cuz got out with a nice flash, then using the satchel cone. We see the re-engage here.
You can see the replay. Actually ends up being a Jax auto attack of all things. Smite was used by Ambition, not by the jungle there on Longzhu, because, as you say, and the fight continued from there.
And a nice ultimate from Ambition does lock down that kill on the exit that you talked about. Prey getting annihilated there afterwards.
I'm just excited that the verbiage opens up when it's not just going to be front-to-back team fight versus front-to-back team fight, which AD carry can power through the front line faster. This is the sort of game where suddenly flank wards for Samsung at a huge premium. They do have an initiating AP burst mage in the cannon, so warding your flanks, control wards on the sides suddenly become more important. The split push is a very real win condition. Only Trundle has really represented that so far at Worlds 2017. So these old strategies that have always been in and out of the meta finally come back in one single game. So there's a lot of things to talk about.
Also, we have to talk about the next steps for these teams, because with so much focus early in the game on Magic and Magic resistance here for Longzhu because of all the AoE from Samsung, now is the point where we're breaking into the real attack damage threat. Ruler here, level 11 Tristana, the Infinity Edge is done, his first Zeal is done. You guys talked about the Ardent Sensor and the multiplicative stats that he's going to get there. This is where the extra...
Talking about stats in the front line, low health going tank, but look at the back line access out of Khan. And Cuz coming in for that one, and BDD gets the first kill to Core JJ support. Maybe not the best kill, but their jungler's dead, so 4v4. Prey looking for more, he's going to find himself that double kill as the opposing marksman has gone. Gorilla staying alive, the hook not going to land on Kube, and he can't get anything with a slicing Maelstrom, a whiffed ultimate out of the AP cannon as Khan chases for a bit more Ambition, likely to lose his life. One more shot, I'll do him in, and yes, another trade of kills, 2 for 3, favor of Longzhu so far as Kube heading back to the mid lane.
Gorilla with his dying breath stopped Cuvée from getting on top of his AD carry. The love between those two, eternal, keeps him alive. They do get the teamfight victory. Teamfight Jax, not a meme this time, actually worked fine.
And it's not him starting with the team, right? This is how you love to play any type of split pusher or assassin. It's coming in after so many of the key abilities have been used. When Jax teleports in, you know, the Malzahar ultimate is down, Kennen ultimate is down. He doesn't have to navigate Sejuani ultimate, all of those big CCs. Here we go as another look at the initiation. And as you said, Freak, I believe that flash ult from BDD was probably intended for Ruler, but then Ruler walks back into all the spheres, gets dunked.
Cuvée gives up his life. Sorry, Cuvée trying to get into the backline, thinks he can pick up multiple kills. First the flay into the box, slowing down his time. Khan picks up the kill. Samsung want to rinse and repeat. They want control wards around the Baron and to look for the picks with the Nethergrass. Gonna have to be creative here from Longzhu to actually stop them just going for that, because Jax, like you say, doesn't want to group where possible, doesn't want to be one of the face checkers to get that vision.
Yeah, he likes to come in, pick up those straggler kills, and again, it has been an extra kill over to Longzhu in the past couple of skirmishes where they're able to get an objective as well as just a little bit extra on the end there. Now, though, we have to look at the teleports because it's 2 advantage for Samsung. They have the possibilities, you know, to create one of these fights. As we said before, one fell swoop, this big AoE that they're looking for. So many forms of hard CC, and if Khan is not there, then Longzhu would be punished.
And it begs you to watch for wards, of course. The last fight around Samsung Galaxy thought they were hiding in a brush that was already warded out by Gorilla, so it wasn't a surprise. Now Khan gonna find Kube for the 1v1. The stun actually gonna come out of Kennen, though, instead, and Khan not going to find more, and you can see a pretty equal trade of health.
And expectations are the moment that Khan hits 2 to 3 items, Cuvée will have a very tough time side laning. AD Cannon, which what we saw the first time these two teams met right at the start of the season, is fine in a side lane auto-attacking. The AP Cannon is outscaled a lot faster in the 1v1. So those teleport wards, the teleport plays, this game could be decided if one flank from Cuvée works around the 30 to 35 minute mark, or if it goes sideways, because if he gets nothing, we know the Jack's going to take the base.
Reminiscent of those SPED games long ago at the World Championship as well. Can he have the same effect here? Khan, though, taking control of this jungle. And again, as you mentioned many times, it is also about the wards that they're able to leave behind to enable this split pushing and enable them to keep this pressure up. You know, the timer on the double teleport advantage as well is dwindling here for Samsung, and you have to watch out for those flanking wards to start up and set up that big play.
1 minute and 25 seconds on Khan's teleport till that one's back up. That's the TP advantage you're talking about right here. Power spikes completed in a lot of places. Ruler's got Static Shiv done. Prey had to stop for a Quicksilver Sash, so he's actually stopped the multiplication for a little while here, slowing things down. No Locket yet for Gorilla either. These are very important power spikes coming through. Kube's got his flash backup. He's got his Proto Belt in there as well to make sure he can reach the back line. This is one of the best possible times for Samsung Galaxy to find a 5v5.
The most immediate goal for Longzhu is to take down that mid lane turret. Whenever you have Blitzcrank, Thresh, these initiating supports, taking down mid lane turret can be so pivotal to getting the deep vision down. For now, they have to respect the fact that Sejuani and Malzahar, or even the Rakan, are camping Brush, and that means it's much easier for Samsung to place their control wards and defend them than it is for Longzhu to put them down until they have the extra space that taking down mid lane Outer provides.
Defensive boot option for Ruler, actually. Ninja Tabby, the first time seeing it here, actually really respecting what Cuz and Khan could do in a team fight. Go Siege in the mid lane coming across. Rift's going to fall pretty shortly, but the wave clear keeps it alive for now. Stun almost finds Ruler, but he's up to the side. He's going to stay alive on this one. Seeing Khan again waiting in the wings. Kube going to look to fight him a little bit. The Q lands with a couple hundred damage.
Prey to side lane here, but it's being called to the mid lane once again to the 3-item spike within the edge. Would certainly go a long way, given that the front line is really only Sejuani at this point. Something that Longzhu do very commonly. Korean teams do like to rotate their AD carry around to get the solo farm, as we see Ruler on your screen right now, compared to, say, the Chinese teams that are more likely to just barrel in as a 4 and force objectives while this side lane is happening.
Look at the Ruler farm. He's one of those great late-game scaling carries in the Tristana, and the only real physical damage dealer on the squad as well against the 4 Merc Prez plus QSS team. That is a stat line you need in physical damage. Ruler hoping to do well in this one.
Definitely a lot of priority targets available for him later on. Let's see if they're able to retain control around this Baron pit, though. Samsung spent a lot of their resources clearing out this vision and trying to create some extra pressure for themselves. Now, Cube talked about how dangerous it is for him in 1v1 scenario. The turret even not going to offer that much protection. Has to be a little bit careful there, as Khan got it all the way down to 50% already.
I want to call attention to the second item finished by Jax. It is not a Blade the Ruin King. Gorilla hits a hook through there. It is not something like a Tiamat that you might see for pushing. Is big.
Double ult's coming across, plenty of damage, no suppression as well. Flash still dies the explosive charges. Ruler gets himself that kill. There's the damage at work right there. No jungler means Baron could be an opportunity.
That's definitely a huge pick for Samsung, and they still have ults left.
Goes on Gorilla, box into the device. Sometimes he's going to pull in a mission as well, but is there enough re-engage? That is the tank on the squad, and there's no ultimate out of BDD because that would not be a useful target. They're going to pull the teleport out of Khan. And he home guards up to the mid lane.
Juve still holds on to the Kennen ultimate as well. Again, there's so many forms of engage from Samsung. They get a pick with a couple of them and burn through most of them. They still have that giant threat though, and all importantly, they were able to again get the teleport cooldown out of Khan.
Flash engage, almost finds Gorilla, gets himself out as well. A triple stun out of BDD keeps the rest of the team safe.
Samsung holds all the cards. They don't have an answering teleport, so Khan is kind of milling around mid lane, doesn't want to go bot lane. They have Cube ready whenever possible. Re-engage is available with all the CC on the side of Samsung. Longzhu are in crisis mode until they can reset the summoner spell advantages that Samsung hold.
This is very important gold too, because we talked earlier about those completion points with the items. 2 big spikes here as well. Could very well be Void Stabs coming in for Crown, for Cube, which would go through a lot of this early stacked magic resist that Longzhu focused on.
We'll see, of course, you're seeing Khan continue to build more defensive items. Frozen Mallet into a Hex Drinker means he's still not going to have any armor for a turret dive, and he doesn't have quite the same dueling tools he would have otherwise. He's building tanky. There's no wave clear as well for split push duty. It's looking like he's going to try to team fight and withstand all the magic damage in the fight. We'll see if it comes through, though.
I think a lot of the viewers at home will say, okay, so how do Longzhu stop this Baron reset into pickup? What do they do to actually get ahead? A lot of that was around going Frozen Mallet second as Khan, having teleport up and Jax, and requiring multiple members to come bot lane. You can solo kill Cube with enough time along enough lane when you go Frozen Mallet, and it's when those extra members leave that Longzhu can actually get that vice grip on the Baron that right now, with teleport down, is actually impossible to get.
And I actually like this response from Khan with his teleport down. Never mind.
Khan on the front line, looking to get the kill on the Gorilla. Not just yet, no, staying alive for a bit more. Kugan this side is going to lot out of this one. He's going to go for the re-engage, but Khan now might be running out of health. 400 health on him, down to 800 now as well. The Hex Trigger Pop still barely stays alive, but 1 kill comes through as a knockdown Ambition. The tank stats were enough. Khan made the right choice, survived the ultimate as 1 kill came through for Longzhu.
I was just about to say, I like the reaction from Khan. It's a very small gold investment to pick up a Hex Drinker this late in, but it provides so much.
Crowd's going to die for that one. Nice pickup by BDD, knocking him down, but the trade kill comes in with the Proto Belt. Not going to quite get that hook, though. And Ruler tried to predict that one, but the kill going to come through the hook. The jump on in, he's going to knock down Prey. Yes, he does. The double kill actually comes out of Kube. Advantage Samsung Galaxy.
Big disconnect from the members of Longzhu. BDD flashes in when his Jax is back in base, when Prey is out of position. Nothing he could do there. They lose the mid lane turret. Longzhu out of sync for the first time at World.
Yeah, BDD had so much success early on in the lane phase, bullying Crown, bullying this Malzahar, that he has since made some very aggressive mistakes that have cost the team. This one a bit more costly as the mid turret goes down. The last line of outer defense from Longzhu that was left standing, and it gives Samsung time to push out the waves, to place down their vision around Baron yet again.
And it was one of those unforced errors. Sure, he got a nice chunk off, but he didn't need to flash. He didn't need to look for an aggressive kill, and it's lost them more than just a turret.
The Baron start, and no one from Longzhu really seems the wiser. In fact, Cuz is recalling 2 screens away. There is no contest for this one. Samsung Galaxy turned the fight win into a 30-minute Baron, and they've now got a sizable grip on this game.
So incredibly costly. Take another look at the beginning of this team fight, though, because this was Ambition starting it off again. They see the hook miss, immediately engage onto Gorilla.
Not able to actually get damage on. Prey he can just lift off. So Cube's not the big factor here. They focus everything on the super tank with the Frozen Mallet health and the resist from the ultimate. The start of it is just fine for the side of Longzhu, but then BDD, he gets a rush of blood to the head, and it really makes things difficult for Longzhu.
That's right, they get a re-engage here, throws down the stun onto Crown, immediately flashes forward. Core JJ goes for the stun. Cube actually still had Proto Belt activation there, and the entire time, Ruler on Tristana. Able to get the crits to come through, find that last kill as well.
And you see Cuvase super pumped about that, but in my head I'm like, what's the best case scenario when BDD flashes in? Of course Rakan is going to have his CC back. Of course it's going to be a trade, and the rest of his members, the Jackson base and the AD carry out of position, weren't going to be able to profit from a 1v1.
I especially like Crown's reaction there. As a mid laner, you know, when you get flashed on and ulted and killed, and your team has the victory afterwards, and you get to cheer, yes! Ha! You fool! Look what you've done!
Baited and outsmarted, perfect play out of him. Crown doing the good stuff. Now, Cloud are going to drop down pretty quickly, and this one's still no contest to be had around the map, of course, with the 3,000 gold lead plus a Baron buff. It is not easy to contest Samsung Galaxy. Kube has his teleport if he needs to match Khan and rejoin a team fight. The 5-on-5, of course, compositionally still better for the squad, and it looks like, at the very least, the predictions of 3-0 for Longzhu are wrong. This is very likely to be a closed-out game for Samsung Galaxy without some kind of significant comeback at a Longzhu.
Can't even really side lane very confidently right now with the Jax because he has gone for a dueling build with the Frozen Mallet. Try and kill the Kennen in the long lane. Doesn't actually have great wave pushing abilities. Can be rotated on as you see the members of Samsung just entering the lane the Jax is in and trying to take turrets as the Jax kind of watches on very helplessly.
All right, with this Baron buff, Samsung can just leave Kennen, Cube up there on the top side, slowly push in, whereas Longzhu actually trying to defend all 3 lanes at once here. And if you're trying to spread that thin against this Samsung squad, the turrets are just going to go down. Secondary ones, very easy to deal with.
Not a lot of threat on Ruler. A couple of feathers doesn't really mean too much. It tickles him as feathers tend to do here on this as bot lane tier 2 falls. Longzhu has still only got themselves 1 turret all game, and that was through Prey and Gorilla's laning phase and a single roam. Nothing else has really profited that much the rest of this game. That BDD first blood doesn't mean much anymore. He's actually the death leader on his team.
BDD not in a side lane. Khan with an emergency teleport that didn't lead to anything there. Whole game plan kind of falling apart, whereas Samsung can just barrel mid lane. There's not really a lot of options for Longzhu.
Now the question is, are they going to do another emergency teleport? Or are they just going to give up this inhibitor in exchange for the outer turret on top side because they know they can't fight it? They know that even though this is a terrible trade, they have to take it because there's nothing else you're going to get. You either get nothing by teleporting back, or you get at least the outer turret on top side and a bit more farm on the Jax.
It's the kind of play that gets you flamed in solo queue, but it's the right choice. There is no 5-on-5 to have against a Baron buff team with a better team fight composition. Khan will get what he can, and Longzhu will keep bleeding resources until he gets that individual edge. But that's the question, is can Khan ever really beat Kube enough compared to what the rest of Samsung can do the rest of Longzhu?
And your first instinct has to be no, because to beat a Kennen in a very long lane, basically only turret up on the bot side is the inner turret. for Samsung Galaxy. You need vision and face-checking brushes to take over what you can see is a Red War-dominated bot side for Longzhu's red side, let alone push further, is basically impossible. Khan is going to have to play with limited information, go for one of his famous outplays trying to ward jump away when the cavalry comes. And that unfortunately means that Longzhu are kind of hoping for a Samsung critical error.
Yeah, you have to worry about so many things from that Fog of War. There's Flash Malzahar ultimate, Flash Sejuani ultimate, Flash Kennen ultimate, Flash Rakan ultimate. Literally every single champion on this Samsung squad, huge threat if they have this vision advantage, and those can be comboed to take out anyone.
That's a hook. That might be the play. Flay in onto two, but he's going to get away with this one. Corjay staying alive. The re-engage coming across to the front line. A lot of health bars just getting pushed down as Cuz flashes away. Stays up on this one. The stun is going to break Crown Zombie as Khan looks for the duel. This one, the magic of the stack, helping as much as he can for the team. Re-engaging, and Cuz still finds the kill. And Khan refuses to dive, and finally does 2 for 1. Make it 3, make it 4. It's only Ruler staying alive, but he's been cut short as that was the best team fight Longzhu could hope for.
Oh, Longzhu stand strong at their last secondary turret here. Super minions flooding into the base, but they find the engage here and take the opportunity. The sliver of hope that was given to them. Khan teleports in, and he was able to make it happen on top of Crown.
The hook of destiny from Gorilla starts off that parade. Would have thought he was out of range, just got him on the edge, and it felt like Longzhu wouldn't have an Alamo, a last place to have some semblance of an even fight, but one hook comes in, and the game changes.
The double play there onto CoreJJ and Ruler right after the hook. Cuz here taking up so much on the Jarvan, is able to flash back out. You think there's a reset here. Khan on the top side though is alone with Crown, and all of the members of Samsung flash to defend him. BDD stuns up Cuvée on the other side, and even though Khan sacrifices himself there on the Jax, they find the 3 extra.
BDD stunned Cuvée out of his teleport, then also out of his potential flank. Meant that he couldn't even use his ultimate. He did nothing in the entire fight. It's supposed to be Longzhu, forced on the back foot by the slicing Maelstrom. It wasn't a cooldown they had to respect, and suddenly felt a bit like a 5v4.
It's such a thin line that you have to walk. He wants to have a big impact with Kennen, so you want your Proto Belt, and you want all of your magic penetration, as you can see that he has. However, if you don't have the safety of a Zhonya's or something like that, or the speed of a Flash, and the surprise factor, or teammates to set you up, as we talked about the other forms of CC, then it makes it very dangerous, right? You're a squishy Kennen here, and yes, you can deal a lot of damage, but you are a glass cannon. He gets stunned up and taken down.
No big difference in the gold lead. They have been able to recover. It's only about 2,000 gold here for Samsung. But remember, rinse and repeat is about to come up. 25 seconds until Baron spawns, until Longzhu will have that same trouble getting vision in the pit. The initiation option's still there for Samsung. This time around, need to make the most out of the Jax.
Oh, they're circling around.
Yeah, wards coming around the sides. Cuvée on the backside as well. Has Banshee's Veil completed. He'll survive quite a bit better against that Syndra. Hook almost lands for Gorilla. That could have been the go signal. Looking at the next play to come through. Double lock in for Samsung Galaxy. One done for Gorilla as well on the side. They're waiting for Longzhu to see if they can find themselves the opening as the wards get killed out. Gorilla gets himself ready to go for that one as Frey's wave clear continues. Dead inhibitor in the mid lane means that Longzhu have to manually reset mid lane consistently. Samsung Galaxy get that control on their own no matter what.
But Longzhu are able to push up past the midpoint of the mid lane because Cuvé's teleport is down. We know there's lots of vision, some of it's being replaced, but there was a lot of deep vision. Now they're trying to force Cuvée to respond to a Baron stun.
It's a 5v4, there is no Kennen, he can't join. Engage comes across looking for Crown. They've got rid of the passive, and he's going to get able to flash down. Redemption gets a bit of health back on the squad. The re-engage for CoreJJ. They still don't have the player just yet, but one kill in for Ruler. The suppression comes across. There should be 2 as Khan will drop, and that's a clean 2 for nothing without even having their top laner.
Longzhu knew they had to force something here in the teleport cooldown, but Samsung 4 versus 5 find the kill themselves. And by the time Cuvée arrives, it's a free Baron.
A second free Baron of the game might be the death knell predicted earlier. In this case, Gorilla opens up, taken down early. Khan can't be a solo frontliner, and they just have to wait and reset after all their good work around the inner top lane turret just about 3 minutes ago.
We're up to full build for Prey practically in this point. He's got 70 crit chance in the upgraded Quicksilver Sash and a Scimitar as well. Only 1 slot left to go. Similar for Ruler here, he just has a Scimitar upgrade for himself. And the push into the top lane continues. The respawn still not here just yet. Turret number 7 falls for Samsung Galaxy. The gold lead about 6,000 here, and this one as they look for the inhibitor itself. And the turret in front of it as Khan is still 6 seconds away.
They can try and push hard on this minion wave. 4 more seconds on the Jax, and they've got plenty of time.
No more turret to defend them. This is an inhibitor. It doesn't fight back. It just regens a little bit of health now. Ambition gets right back to the box on a 2+ HP. He's going to be okay. A stun in the back line, but there's no follow-through. Ruler going to stay alive. He's going to be okay. Inhibitor will fall. Given up by Longzhu. Just a poke coming out from the blue side, and they won't get much more. That is the second inhibitor fall, as mid has already respawned, though.
Top inhibitor down, and mid inhibitor exposed with an Elder Dragon. This is Longzhu with so many pressure points they have to deal with right now. Another look at starting up this Baron, though. The initiation so critical. Cuz wanted to soak as many ults as possible, but he just jumps in, pops his stone plate, and wasn't able to soak.
OJJ able to get the reinitiation. Khan caught on the backside, even though Crown was sitting in vision at the time, took him down. The peel off there was not as decisive as was needed, and the moment the first 2 CCs hit, everyone had to back away from Long.
Just an absolute massacre there, you know, starting up Baron and Samsung coming in with the 4 members. Let's see now, as Elder Dragon is going to draw Longzhu into very dangerous territory. Look at all the wards again going down from Samsung. They have an easy setup.
BDD doing infinitely more damage than the last team fight, this time landing the stun across some members, and maybe that buys a few more seconds. Ambition, though, waiting in the wings. They see because this could be the fight that Samsung wants. A great stun's going to land in the front line, push back a little bit longer, but Ambition pretty healthy, and they waste the unleashed power on the tankiest member. Don't know if I left that out of BDD, and now a Sin ult down means Kuba can feel a lot more comfortable. Look at the next play as Ruler wants to jump in. Nice. Kite back, gets away from the stun.
A Warbox on Ambition, maybe trying to DPS him low enough to not be a front line, but as we can see, did not find any real value. Like you say, Khan looking for a flank, but an initiation sounds like it's just not going to benefit Longzhu in the slightest.
The long-range skill shots come out. A hook from Gorilla, but it attacks the caster. The stun from BDD this time going to hit again, but won't find much more. No follow-through route from Prey just yet. The hook coming out, that one's going to miss as well. Mid inhibitor going to fall. Baron still on for a minute, and 2 inhibitors are down.
Pressure mounting here against Longzhu. They still have Baron buff on Samsung's side. 2 lines of super minions heading in. And the Baron empowered double cannon wave, they can just sit here and slowly wear away at the rest of Longzhu's base.
30 seconds on Baron, but between this and maybe one more wave for the push. Almost lands the hook on a J. Not quite a root on Ambition, but again, it's tanky. Stun's gonna land in the front line. Prey gets away the push to the assassin. That's some of the big cooldowns missing. Into the front line goes Cuz with the Cataclysm, but now he is alone and a bit isolated. The turret's gone, and he's been shut down. Ambition getting himself that kill as the turret's already fallen. Now the inhibitor to stay alive, but 5v4 with minions inside the base is almost certainly the game-closing fight.
No big ults left for Samsung. They saw Prey zoned from damage because Kube still has flash ultimate up.
Big stun. Kube is not gonna quite haul a heal for good measure. Wouldn't have died anyway, but still, the team able to actually walk back with this one. They don't want to quite risk a comeback fight. Triple inhibitor down, though, is almost a certainty at this point, though.
Yeah, this is going to be a very brief respite for Longzhu. Elder Dragon should be cleaned up here by Samsung. They can go back and purchase with all of the extra gold they just got off of those victories and return to deliver that definitive blow to the Nexus.
The surreal thing about this game, guys, is that, again, we remember, Longzhu chose blue side. Still, they went for a 4-1 strategy. Still, it was about setting up Jax, usually a counter pick as the final pick on red.
But blinding is greedy.
They blinded the Jax, maybe surprised that Kube went away from his meta champion pool and took the cannon. Gonna watch the replay first, but a lot of things a little bit off here for Longzhu. The initiation on point from Samsung.
Or JJ gets 3 of them with the combo there, and then Cuz tries to answer. You know, Jarvan's goal there is to jump in and pop your stone plate before all the ults hit you, then hope that they use the ults on you afterwards. But Samsung not using them too frequently and are able to just focus him down and still have the pressure.
Just to finish the point on the drop, to me, the only reason to choose blue side is to kind of invite Samsung to choose their bot lane and get value out of the Thresh, get information, go for the Thresh, go for the proactive mid game. They missed their mid game window through some big mistakes, most notably from BDD. This was not the texture of the game that the Thresh was selected for. Longzhu protecting their base, just the dregs of the base.
Prey at half HP, just a couple of skill shots or auto attacks hitting him now into the mid lane. They go a nice double stun, but no follow through. You have to expect those are the kind of openings that come so rarely for Longzhu. They don't pull trigger this one now. Khan looking at the 1v1 against Ambition as the Frost Armor drops, goes back to the duel, lands the stun, but doesn't do anything against that tank. He gets stunned up and just buys a bit of time. You can see Prey can do some damage. He's full build right now, 100% crit chance, but is it going to be enough? as the Siege now pushes into the mid lane. 5v5, looking to knock things down. They pull an Ambition. They find the Sun and Akaz. Here comes the charm. The jump in, the combo. Doesn't quite get anything yet, but the turn's going to fall. Ambition low, but still tanky enough to stay alive. Redemption buys a bit of time. Gorilla though below 1k HP as the push continues. Gube, free time on the side. A few more shots will knock down the last turret, and there is only the Nexus left to knock down. As Sunner really gets away the lock-in device. Time as well, and Prey can't quite get it. The dodge away from Cuz. 1 kill picks up, now make it 2. Cuz gonna fall, makes it 3 and 4. All 5 gonna drop as Prey is just trying to make it happen. He can't do it. That's gonna be game 1 going to Samsung Galaxy.
What an opener! Samsung strike first here, gaining the advantage in this best-of-5 series.
Both teams rolling the dice with new strategies, a new take on the meta. Samsung was more standard. They left the last pick for QV. We said needs to step up, needs to contain Khan. A pretty big pass mark to him there. Was able to do that. The Thresh pick that looked good at the start was quickly no longer a boon for Longzhu, and Samsung Galaxy just kind of powered through the game.
Juve, one of the guys we set up, no hesitation in immediately answering here with this Kennen pick. You know, the team fight focus, full AP coming in and bringing together the rest of the team. Samsung, though, they still ran into areas of discomfort, right? They had to make some good initiations and some good choices here. You know, Ambition, he missed a lot of Sejuani ults, but he also nailed a bunch of them as well, critically.
Yeah, really big deals out of that one. So a great first win for Samsung Galaxy. Of course, 2 more to go for them, but now to get their thoughts on that game 1 win, let's pass it down to Dash and our analysts.
Thank you very much. Freak out the gate with the win here for Samsung Galaxy. And immediately I notice Janna's out. Lulu's out. Say goodbye to that group stage meta. They're hitting the ban table, and instead we get the Thresh versus Rakan. We get the Syndra versus Malzahar. What do you guys feeling? Split pushers in the top lane. What are you guys feeling about this?
I mean, we've seen the Janna Lulu bans before, and then teams were just trading like Karma for Taric or Rakan for Karma or Taric. But the Thresh is something, you know, Misfits have tried to do already. We saw G2 in the first week with the Alistar as well, trying to see if, okay, can we counter in lane something like a Rakan and see if we can shut him down. And they did actually win the bot lane by like 10 CS and took a tower, but it wasn't enough to really make the Thresh pick valuable.
Well, and I even say, to me, this game was so much less about the draft than it was about the execution, despite the fact that the draft was very interesting and pretty complex. You know, when you talk about a lot of the weaknesses that we saw from Samsung in groups, you know, Ambition nowhere. Well, he had 2 kills pre-10 minutes in this game when he had never gotten a kill or an assist pre-15. We talk about the fact, you know, that Longzhu had been this incredible execution-based team. They're so fast to make decisions, and it almost always feels like it's the right one. And there was a number of times where it felt like Longzhu was either nervous or perhaps underestimating their opponents, and I felt like they threw away what was a very winnable game based on execution.
And you talk about execution, and you have to remember this team has actually only played 1 best-of-5 in their entire creation, or for this roster in particular. When they played against SKT, they had 3 matches to watch what SKT was doing. They could feel comfortable. They could sit at the top of the ladder and just wait for them to play. Here, they had 3 days to prepare against Samsung. There is way less time, so your nerves, your execution is going to be off, whereas Samsung, they are a team that is known for preparation. That's why we give them the underdog factor that can always upset anyone.
Yeah, and we talked about some of the ways Samsung could win before the game started, and one of the big things we had was, okay, counter pick top for QV. That could be an important one. Also, have a better late game comp than Longzhu. And Samsung came in very prepared with the draft here. They last pick for QV up in top lane with the Kennen. They played around it as well. They had a super good late game teamfight comp as well. So once they got an advantage, they never really gave it back to Longzhu.
We talk about the importance of execution here, Azale, but I have to recognize the fact that when the Syndra was locked in following the blind pick Malzahar, collectively the desk was like, oh no, what are you doing, Samsung Galaxy? Because this is exactly how that matchup is expected to go in terms of the picks and the way they relate to each other.
And in the early game, it's such a brutal matchup for Malzahar because the Voidlings are used against you. Syndra can just pick it up as soon as you spawn it, throw it right at you. You have very little ability to actually fight back in the early stages of the game. But the problem here was, again, you know, BDD, he's able to get this big advantage. What does he then do with it? He actually tries to dive a turret, not knowing where the jungler is. Right. Takes about 6 turret shots. That advantage is now gone. And once Malzahar is post 6, in combination with the jungler, it's so powerful. And you know, it's also powerful at shutting down the split push style because you can always threaten the flash Malzahar ult.
And important to add here, the tower never died in the early game. So yes, he got some of the kills and he got a CS advantage. Tower was still there. Malzahar was still farming. He was actually almost even in items once he moved into the big team fights. Another thing Malzahar brings, You highlight already some of the pressure with the jungler. Once you have ulti on Malzahar, you can get mid lane priority so easily because teams cannot face check against you. They can't push forward because then stuff like this will happen where you walk into the river and you instantly just get Malzahar ulted and you just die.
But stuff like this shouldn't happen all the time. I felt like the itemization from Longzhu was all over the place. Remember when Malzahar was meta? What was the answer? 5 QSSs. He's done. He doesn't do anything. And you have a Sejuani as well. So you get a double whammy on the... They never went for that. Only Xayah and then... I think maybe Jax had only one.
No,
not even Jax. Not
Only
even
one
Jax.
QSS was built.
Like especially for Khan, that seemed like such a free QSS to build. It's very good against Kennen in the 1v1. If the jungler comes, that's a Sejuani, very good there. Just a flat magic resist is also good against the Malzahar, also good against the Malzahar. It felt like such an obvious item to build, so I was really surprised that he chose Ma over that. And as a result, we can say it's playstyle choices or it's itemization, but Jax was never really in the side lane. Pretty much the only time you saw him committed fully to a split push was when they first gave up the mid inhibitor. And if Jax is just going to team fight the whole game, he's not going to have the same level of effectiveness that you want.
And I think that happens because you're saying, okay, Malzahar will pressure mid lane, and if you have Jax on the side lane, you have a 4-man unit. But if your 4-man unit doesn't have QSSs, you can't defend against the onslaught. So you have to just say, we need to team fight all the time or we don't do anything else.
I mean, that said, relatively even game up to that point, but something's got to break one way or the other eventually, and that it did in favor of Samsung Galaxy. 30-30 into the game. This replay brought to you by Acer Predator.
In the beginning stages of this fight, you actually have to credit Gorilla. I thought he had played really well throughout the game, but in this fight, not as effective. You can see that, again, no QSS here on Khan. He's pushed completely out of the fight, and it does start as essentially just kind of this one-for-one trade. Jax is pushed back out, but then BDD, I actually felt like this was the game-losing moment. He decides there's an opportunity to trade a kill for the Mals, and while he actually gets it when he flashes in, Tristana has her summoners. Tristana has ultimate. Prey has nothing. There's no way to fight back in the following 3v3.
But it feels to me like the idea for BDD here is Cleanse is ready, Thresh is behind him with Lantern, so you can flash forward, kill this guy. If you get CC'd, you can cleanse, and you can take the Lantern, you get out. And you are a hero now, because now you can actually go Baron. But he gets instant lockdown so fast, and then when you get knocked up as well, right there by the Rakan, you're not getting out. And then he dies instantly, and then it all goes wrong, because he's dead longer as well here. And by the time everyone is respawned from Samsung, they rush Baron.
And because Jax can't actually split push against a Baron comp, right? You're then being pushed in, he's forced to actually group, he's forced to team fight, and I think that Samsung played a very good game, and if this is the level that they're going to bring, and they're going to have a much closer series than we were anticipating.
This is why the Korean team, especially Samsung and SKT on the other side, are just so well regarded as playoff teams. The preparation that they come in, the fact that they've been here a million times before, they know how to handle these situations, and so they're just going to make some mistakes here and there, but when the plays matter, they almost always deliver.
Now, you two spotted Samsung a game, essentially, in your predictions. I just received word that they have selected red side for Game 2, so valuing to some degree perhaps the potential of a counter pick. But I want to start now focusing in on that second game. Talk about what we might see change here. Do we continue to shy away from the Jannas and the Lulus, or does maybe Longzhu fall back on comfort there and indexing behind Prey?
There's probably a high chance they go back to an Ardent Sensor support. Like typically if you do this in a best of 1 or in a best of 5, when the first game you take the gamble, you pick the Thresh, go against the Ardent meta and say, let's see if Prey and Gorilla can take over the bot lane and snowball. If that works, you do it again for Game 2. If it doesn't work, teams tend to just say, okay, we tried it, let's go back to Ardent Sensor meta instead. I also think Malzahar ban in the second phase might come in because they clearly did not feel comfortable playing against it in this game.
Final point.
It'll be interesting because I'm kind of the other opinion where I feel like Longzhu should have confidence in their draft, because to me it was the execution that fall flat. The bot lane.
But that's
play,
again where they can get concerned.
It's fair. Ruler for the first time, I felt was making mistakes in team fights. I felt BDD did as well, and I feel like they should have the confidence in their play to be able to play a draft.
The good news is it's a best of 5, right? So you can wipe that one out of your minds and move on to the next 3. Up next, we'll see if Longzhu can pick up a win of their own versus Samsung Galaxy. As the teams prep for Game 2, though, we'll leave you with the brand new music video, for the world's theme, Legends Never Die.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out out your name. Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed far, reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world's calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die. They're written down in eternity, but you'll never see.